Hi, everyone. Hope that you are enjoying your Thanksgiving. And as I said, my apologies that naturally I won't be available this evening because we are noheg, the mitzvah or Isser of celebrating a Thanksgiving meal. So let's jump into it. Well, I'll just try to make it a brief recording, and that way, hopefully, right now you're listening to it at your leisure. So we find ourselves on Yud Tes Amid Aleph. We are on 19a. And we're about halfway down. Tana, Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah, Nidon Kesukkah. So we have a general teaching that comes from a Tosefta. So in the Tosefta it says that Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah, Nidon Kesukkah, as the same as the Sukkah. So what is Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah? My Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah. So we have four possibilities. Amar Ula, Kanma Yotze Ma'achorei HaSukkah. It's when you have some of the skach goes behind the structure of the Sukkah. Then behind the structure of sukkah is also considered like you're inside the sukkah. But wait a minute, don't you need three walls? Where the walls also extend behind the sukkah. Don't you also need hachshir sukkah? Don't you need 7 by 7 tefachim? There's enough space to get 7 by 7 tefachim. How do you have you need a majority of shade? Okay, where there's a majority of shade. So what's the chiddush? Okay, so it sounds like you have a bona fide sukkah behind your sukkah as well. So what's the chiddush here? I would think because the skach and the walls were all constructed for the other side of the sukkah, therefore you can only use the other side, kamashmalan, you can use the back of the sukkah, which also has the legitimate dimensions. That's theory number one of Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah is. The next one, Rav Yotzi Amitrav Hacha Bekan Yotzim Lefnim Min HaSukkah Umashcha VaAsa Chada Dovim Ba'adai. This is where only one, so you have the back wall and then you have two parallel walls. But only one of the parallel walls continues extending, and it continues extending along with the skach. So that would be sufficient, we say. I would say, one of the walls doesn't quite keep going. Kamash Malan, that is okay. That counts as Pesel Yotze Min HaSukkah as long as you start off at the right dimensions and it just keeps extending with one of the walls. That was possibility number two. Possibility number 3 out of 4. Rabbi Baruchana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Lo Nitzcha El Sukkah Shur Mitzilas Chamasa Umeiuta Chamasa Meru Mitzilasa. So it's talking about where you have a little bit of a patch of the sukkah in which some of it has a majority of sunlight to shade, but the majority of sukkah, when you look at the sukkah as a whole, most of it is majority shade. I would say maybe this little patch over here, which has more light than shade, would passel the sukkah. Kamash Malad, it is okay. So then, how we understand the lashon of yotze? The lashon of yotze meant to go out before. So my yotze machshir sukkah, meaning it's yotze conceptually from the legitimacy of the dimensions of a sukkah. Nonetheless, when there's only a little bit of majority of light, that is okay. That was possibility 3. Now for the final one, possibility number 4. Rabbi Yoshia Amar Lo Nitzcha El L'Skach Pasal Pachas Mishlosh B'Sukkah Ketana. So what we're talking about over here is where you have Skach Pasal, which is Pachos Mishlosha B'Sukkah Ketana. So you have non-kosher skach that's less than 3 tfachim. So my yotze mitorah sukkah. What did I say? That's yotze mitorah sukkah. Okay, very good. But masculine Rav Hoshia lo yehela aver pachos mishosh tfachim b'sukkah ketana mi pasel. What's the chiddush here? We know that when you have an air gap is enough in order to make an air gap less than 3 tfachim. Doesn't invalidate the sukkah. So kal v'chomer, non-kosher skach, which you even get up to 4 tefachim generally, should be okay. Samarlei Rabbi Ava zemitzar v'shem tachlev zemitzar v'ein v'shem tachlev. The difference between air and between non-kosher skach is that the non-kosher skach that's bottled to the sukkah, you're allowed to sleep under the non-kosher skach. The air, however, is, even though it won't invalidate the skach, nonetheless, you're still not, and even combined, you're still not allowed to sleep directly under the air gap. So wait, umika midi, it's true inside who kosher. Is there such a constant halacha that something could combine? It actually combines with the shear of the sukkah, yet we don't go the whole way to say that you could actually sleep under it. So Yitzchak ben Eliashib, we do have an analogy to this. So in the mikvah, you need 40 sa'ah of water. So whether you have something that's like this loose pitch that's in there, so that'll be yochia. Shemitzaref arim sa, that even though this tit actually counts toward the 40 sa, the shear that you need of water in the mikvah, nonetheless, a tovel lo also lo tefillah. If you're tovel in the tit directly, you would still not be yotze your chiyuv to be tovel in the mikvah. Now, Tosfos points out that Rashi says the issue is when you have 40 sa, that's kulo tit naruk. However, that doesn't really seem to make sense, Tosfos says, because that's not analogous. Because in our case, it's not like the entire skach is full of air. Only a little segment of the skach has a gap with air in it. So what would be the analogy here? So Tosfos said the analogy is here the tit naruk nani of should start emat bilimbo. It's talking about where he quotes from the Mishnayos, I believe the Kvos naturally. Let's say the teat actually isn't a homogeneous mixture. It kind of starts coagulating. I don't know what the right word is, in a certain area of the mikvah. So you wouldn't, if you were to dip yourself directly into that area where the teat is all gathering together, so then you wouldn't be yotze. But otherwise, so that'd be analogous to sleeping under the air gap in the skach directly. So even though it combines toward the shear of a sukkah, and even though the titanoruk combines for the shear of the 40 of the mikvah, if you go directly into it or directly under the air, then we have a problem. So we do have an analogy in halacha for this, and that brings us to the Mishnah on the top, Yotesem Beis of 19b. Again, hope that everyone had a very happy Thanksgiving. And I'm sure you're all asking, wait, why don't we do share this fast every week? You let me know.